Hey, hey. This video, I'm calling out the millennials and the Gen Z kids. Pretty much anybody younger than me, which doesn't. There's a lot of you guys. Where are the rebels of your generation? Now, I'm not well versed in Gen X or Gen Z culture that much. Not much at all. So maybe they're these rebels this video is about. Maybe they're out there. Comment below, let me know. I could be completely wrong. I always reserve the right to be dead fucking wrong. But I'm surely not seeing it in I'm not seeing it, but maybe I'm not looking in the right places. Anyway, let me get to my point. This day and age. Okay, well, hold on. Let me start the beginning here. Back in my day, we made it a point to separate ourselves from the norm by our music, by the clothes we wore, getting some piercings, getting some ink, leather jackets, whatever. That was our subculture. We would play Dungeons and Dragons just because we knew it would piss off the Christians, and it was a lot of fun. We made it a point to go against the grain. Now, growing up in suburban Texas, no, it wasn't like we were, planting bombs like the Weather Underground or doing anything, overtly extreme. But there was a prevailing attitude that the suit and tie guy, the suit and tie crowd, the yuppie crowd, or the yippie, at one time they were yippies also, that wasn't our scene. We made our own scene, separate and apart from the mainstream. We made it a point. All I see is a bunch of go along to get along kids. And like I said, maybe I'm missing it. And I've mentioned it once before in a previous video, I'm sure, that we've gone from Rage Against the Machine to supplicating to the machine, kneeling to the machine, becoming the machine, aligning yourself with the machine. You know what I'm getting at. We need some rebels. We need some guys out there to rattle some cages. Stir it up. Make us think. Where's the Johnny Rotten? Where's the Bill Hicks? Where's the Frank Zappa? Where are the nonconformists, the weirdos, the freaks that can speak to this younger generation and snap them out of their apathy and trust me, Gen X here, I'm an expert on apathy. Because we thought any given day they were going to drop the bomb, they were going to, there'd be a mushroom-shaped cloud overhead. So I know all about apathy. But this culture now in America, it's a malaise. It's distractions. And trust me, I like a good distraction on occasion. Escapism is important. Um, but when your typical student can't even, they have no idea of how America came to be. They know very little of history, very little of where we've come from, what it took to get us here. And I'm sounding like I'm contradicting myself, but and maybe I am. Where are the heroes and the heroines that will speak out? Where are the protest songs? The 60s had great protest songs. And I understand, Hollywood and the music industry has always been pretty left-leaning, if not incredibly so. But what's going on nowadays in America isn't really a left versus right thing. I've said it once, I've said it a million times, I'll say it another million more times. It's not left versus right. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It is not red versus blue. It is authoritarianism versus individualism. Collectivism versus individualism. And where are these individuals, these nonconformists, these rebels that need to rattle some cages and wake some people up? It's maybe they're out there. I'm just looking at the wrong. Maybe I'm just too damn old and unaware. I don't know. They need to get out there. We need some pushback on everything. Y'all are missing out, kids. We really didn't have a lot to rail against when I was growing up. We had fun railing against, Ronald Reagan and Maggie Thatcher and all, anybody who we thought were were worth pushing against. And funny enough, I grew up and I love Maggie Thatcher and Ronald Reagan now, but back then it was fun to rebel. It was fun to go buy a Venom album just to piss Mom off. That's just an example, one example of many. We've grown complacent. Just speaking on my generation, the Gen X, or older Gen X, we were the last generation to remember not having the internet, eating mud pies to impress the cute little girl up the road, and tackle football. Actually going to the library when you had a question about whatever, yes, I do remember I could probably, if hard pressed, I could probably still remember how to use a card file system, if they still have them. I doubt it. It's probably all digital now. Anyway, I'm not trying to do a trip down memory lane, but in the simpler days back in the day, we had plenty to rebel against, and now we have more to rebel against than ever before, with the exception of maybe during the Civil War and the Revolutionary War. But there's more now than there were 30, 40 years ago, without a doubt, to push against. Where's the punk rock? Nobody. That's funny. Everybody, a couple months ago, John Lydell, Johnny Rotten, was photographed in a window, a hotel window, I believe, third or fourth floor up, I believe somewhere in England, wearing a Trump shirt, a Make America Great Again shirt. And it's good to see that he's gained some weight too, and everybody was just livid that Johnny Rotten was a Trumper. And they completely missed the point. Johnny Rotten is not a Trumper. He might be. I don't know. I don't fucking care. But everybody missed the point. That was a punk move to poke a finger in the eye of society by wearing a Trump shirt. This is Johnny Rotten, guys. He practically invented punk. He had a hand in it. He didn't invent it. But anyway, that was very punk. Okay, you know what's a punk move? And this is a little off topic, but I just remembered it. With the influx of, let me get this right, critical race applied principles in schools, elementary all the way through college, of course, coast to coast. It's nationwide now. Every school district is having to deal with white fragility and the die religion, diversity, inclusion, and equity. Here's a really punk move. I'm going to try to remember to put a link down in the description. There's a channel I just discovered. It's a parents' rights activist. I forget her name. The video in the channel I'll throw a quick shout out to. She had a brilliant idea of a really good way to get back at these school districts that are trying to indoctrinate our children. Now, everybody may have seen a lot of these videos of parents yelling at school boards and school board members and protesting and things like that. And I watched them all, and I thought, man, that's awesome. That's great. Do it. It's good to see people standing up. Well, come to find out, almost all of that is useless. It's a waste of energy and a waste of time, because the school board members, almost every one of them, are either funded by teachers' unions or administrative unions. There's a strata of organizations that even if you were to replace all the school board members, if you yourself were to run and try to be a voice of reason to these school boards, it's going to do very little good, because it's top down. The CRT crap is all coming down from the corporations and the teachers unions, and through the superintendents to the principals, yada yada. So it doesn't matter who you plug in at the bottom. What will work though, and the channel I referenced, the woman I referenced, and I'll put her name and everything. Her name escapes me at this time, but her idea I remember, and it's a brilliant idea, very punk. To try to make a difference, what you need to do is look up your state and your school district's enrollment dates. There's certain days of the year where they do a head count for every student, and though that head count provides funding for the rest of the year. Say 10% of students, if you were to unenroll your kid or kids from the school district, even for a day or two, and you don't even have to give a reason, just unenroll them. Anybody asks, you're moving. We're thinking of changing schools. We're thinking of homeschooling. There's a million excuses you could come up with if asked, and you probably won't be. Anyway, unenroll your kid before the deadline. Look it up. I'm going to try to, excuse me. I'm going to try to put that link in the description too. There's some websites that she references that I'll try to make it as easy as possible. This is a much longer video than I thought. Anyway, I probably should have made a separate video on this topic, but oh well, we're going with it. Unenroll your kid a couple days before the head count day, and there's an official title for it. Like I said, she can explain this better than I can, but it's a brilliant idea. If you unenroll your kids, that means they don't get X amount of dollars. Y'all might be familiar that every school district puts aside X amount of dollars for each and every student for that year. You know, New York school districts, there's almost $50,000 a kid for the year. I've heard $15,000, $17,000. It depends on where you live. X amount of dollars for each kid enrolled. You get 10%, 10, 20%, 30% of kids unenroll real quick, their budget goes way down. Now, what that forces their hand to do, though, is they still have to provide essential services. They still have to teach. You're not hindering the kids still stayed enrolled. In fact, you can re-enroll them maybe a week after the head count day. You know, if you want to take a vacation for 7 days. Anyway, you know, pull them out of school for a week. Put them back in if you have to. I don't recommend it. Public schools, government schools, not public schools, government schools are crap. But anyway, if you have to, you can put them back in a couple days after that head count day. What that does is that brings their budget down, way down. So they have to provide the essential services. The kids are still going to get educated. Crap education, but they're still going to be taught. But these districts aren't going to be able to afford their diversity instructors. They're not going to be able to afford to bring in these lecturers and all these cultural Marxists into because they're expensive. They're only going to be able to afford what they're supposed to be doing to begin with, and it might send a huge message. And it's silent. You don't have to. You bring them. You pull the kids out and you put them back in. No big deal, and see how they react. You know, teachers are still going to get paid doing this. You know, your cafeteria workers, everybody like that, the essential employees are still going to get paid. It's not hindering them. It's not affecting them. What it is, it's taking away all that play money from a lot of that COVID money that the government's throwing at all these schools, all the government schools. Excuse me. That's a punk move. We need more ideas like that. Gen X, Gen Z, where are the rebels? Where are the punks? There's more to be pushed back. More to be pushed back in every aspect of culture right now. Time to step up. Still there.